Hi everybody, it's Andrea, and yes, you will see me, but this is my normal intro, so I'll just start this way. And now let's get right into it. First topic I want to discuss is that the Democrats, and I will say never Trumpers and Groypers, but I'm focusing on the Democrats, really want to lose another war. They're doing exactly what they've done in Vietnam. You know, we won the Tet Offensive militarily, but that was when Uncle Walter Cronkite, whom America loved, he was the beloved newsman and everybody trusted him before we knew that the media is inherently untrustworthy. He took off his glasses and he turned to the audience and away from the script and basically said the war is lost. And reputedly, Lyndon Johnson at that moment said, well, if I've lost Walter, I've lost America. And that was the end of the war, which is utterly insane. Or not really, because wars are won at home. There are two phases. You can be decimated, and I don't mean that in the literal sense of 1/10. I mean that in the colloquial sense of utterly destroyed on the battlefield, which is very close to what we're doing with Iran. Their navy's gone. They've lost most of their conventional rockets of all kinds. Their launchers are gone. Their factories are gone. Their enrichment plants are gone, but that's not the same as the stores of already enriched uranium they have. So for those who say, why did we do Epic Thunder last year? Well, or Midnight Thunder last year, and now we're going in again, it's because there's a difference between their ability to continue to enrich uranium versus the enriched uranium they already have hidden. And if they can get rebuilt an enriching facility, boom, they have nuclear fission. So that's why we went in again. But so they've lost militarily, and they've never really had the population with them. Right now, they're just hanging on by the skin of their teeth, and they have a population that's very afraid of them, which is almost as good as a population that supports you, because the Iranian people are still scared to go out in the streets and protest, especially since Iran just hanged a 19-year-old champion wrestler for, and very publicly, along with two other people, for daring to protest against the regime. This is how you keep a people supporting the war, or at least not opposing it. But wars are lost when the population gives up. Sherman's march through Georgia, that's what finally killed the Confederacy. It wasn't a military defeat, it was that the population gave up. So we lost in Vietnam, thanks to the Democrats. We had a sort of hiatus. Under Reagan, we had the successful Latin American invasion. And I'm totally blanking on which country, but one of those Latin American countries. Then we were doing pretty well in Iraq with the regrouped war under General Petraeus. But the moment Obama got into place, he created a giant vacuum. He just withdrew. So he snatched defeat from the jaws of victory, creating a vacuum that ISIS filled, and just tens of thousands of deaths and rapes and slavery and horrible things. And we were holding our own in Afghanistan. Had we won? Yeah, I don't really know. But Trump said, and I actually believe, that he had a phased withdrawal plan that would have kept everyone safe. That's not what Biden did. Biden created another vacuum, and 13 American troops died. We don't know how many Afghanis who had supported America eventually died. And now the Taliban is totally back in charge, and women are in burqas and being beaten again, and God knows what's going on in that country. So that was another defeat snatched from the jaw of victory. They're ready to do it again. And Chris Van Hollen is very explicit about that. In order to protect criminal, illegal aliens in America, he is going to defund a war that is not an endless war, and that is a very successful war after just a little over 2 weeks.
Right. At the end of the day, the best tool we have is to say no more dollars for this war that's making us less safe. And so I've been very clear. I will not support money for this Trump war.
Straight from the horse's mouth. They are going to make us lose this war if it's the last thing they do. On to getting rid of the whole big tent concept. I was talking to a friend today, and he said, quite rightly, when we were discussing the insanity that's coming out of Candace and Tucker, that it's time to end this whole idea that the Republican Party has to be a big tent. It doesn't have to be a big tent. Let the Democrats be a big tent with their intersectionality that's crumbling, because eventually when you have a finite pie and everybody fighting for the same pieces, they become absolutely feral and they start going after each other. Let's be a principled party. There are some people we need to get rid of. Candace has gone off the reservation a long time ago. She denies the moon landing. She says that Jews are actually Kazakhs. She did her whole 6-part whatever thing attacking Erica Kirk without really saying anything, but implying that Kirk is glad her husband's dead and is profiting from it. And the subtext is maybe Kirk had something to do with killing him, except that Mossad did. And just, she is completely, and she never was a huge figure before she went off the reservation. Tucker Carlson was. He had, for quite a while, the most popular cable news talk show in America. People admired him and what he said, and now he is off the reservation. And I have some interesting quotes from Tucker Carlson. There's this one. If there's one consistent lesson of history, when he's discussing unconditional surrender, which is what Trump wants, it means unconditional surrender means foreign troops get to rape your wife and daughter. Everyone can feel that. That's like the most atavistic instinct there is. That's also an unbelievable calumny against American troops who have never, ever engaged in mass rape. Ever. Now, Tucker was remarkably silent around October 7 when Gazans, not just Hamas, but Gazans went into Israel, slaughtered over 1,200 people, and when engaged in an orgy of rape as part of the slaughter, an absolute sadistic orgy where they mutilated, I don't even want to talk about it. The Russians after World War II, when they invaded Germany, orgy of rape of the civilian German women. There are a lot of militaries that do engage in rape, but not the American military. So when he says Trump is demanding unconditional surrender and the Iranians instantly understand that that means American troops are going to rape their wives and daughters, what a calumny, what a defamatory, libelous, horrible statement. But that's who Tucker has become, and that's really bad. What else has Tucker said? Well, the latest is that Tucker's gone all Hitlery. And what you heard crackling is, I figured that with my whole setup, I can't quite see my own monitor. So I've got little things now set off to the side that I can actually look at. So Joel Mowbray, on March 15th, rightly attacked, that what Tucker said was, Bibi Netanyahu's rhetoric is worse than Hitler ever was. This was 2 hours after the terrorist attack targeting the Detroit area preschool, when a Hezbollah sympathizer who had 2 brothers who were in Hezbollah and were killed in an Israeli strike drove a truck into a preschool with 140 kindergarten and preschool-aged children and faculty and staff. Tucker said that Hitler hadn't ever called to exterminate the Jews. Like with so much of what Tucker says these days, this is a sadly common theme in white nationalist and neo-Nazi circles. So that's an important point. Tucker is now parroting white nationalism and neo-Nazism. In order to believe this insanity, let alone repeat it out loud, however, one would have to be intentionally ignorant of history. I'm going to take a break here because what Tucker did, he also made a biblical claim that was untrue and showed really true biblical ignorance. But I want to get back to the Hitler fact, which is more obvious than most people. So Joel Mowbray, after discussing the biblical error, goes back to Hitler. and the Tucker's claim that Hitler never called to exterminate the Jews. In a January 1939 Reichstag speech, Hitler explicitly called for the annihilation, quote, the annihilation of the Jewish race in Europe, end quote. Almost 4 years later, as the Holocaust was in full swing in November 1942, Hitler took a victory lap regarding his own, quote unquote, prophecy from 1939. In a speech in Munich commemorating the anniversary of his failed 1923 beer hall putsch, Hitler said, quote, "You will remember the Reichstag session at which I declared that if Jewry succeeded in bringing about a world war, the result would be the annihilation of Jewry in Europe. This prophecy is now being fulfilled." End quote. Mowbray goes on, there's substantially more evidence, of course, not that it would matter to Tucker or others echoing this bizarre Hitler denialism. Not done yet with what Tucker said. I got another nice little sheet of paper. Just yesterday, or was it even today? It might have been today because I don't keep track of when Tucker does his podcasts. Nathan Livingston of Milk Bar TV reports that Tucker Carlson disgustingly defends 1930s British fascist Oswald Mosley, who was so aligned with the Nazis that he married at Joseph Goebbels' house in Berlin with Adolf Hitler as a guest, even calling Hitler patriotic. Carlson claimed Mosley's, quote, only crime was being the opposition, close quote, to Churchill, and that this is why he was arrested during World War II. Again, complete historic ignorance. Nathan Livingston goes on to be clear, Mosley was a full-blown fascist. He received financial support from Mussolini, maintained close ties to Nazi Germany, and led the British Union of Fascist Blackshirts, a paramilitary-style group inspired by Mussolini's movement known for violence and for targeting Jewish communities. Mosley had previously served as a member of parliament from 1918 to 1931, initially as a Conservative and later as a Labour MP. However, after founding the British Union of Fascists in 1932 and embracing fascism, he was never again electorally viable or close to holding office. And yes, I am getting peepses and tweets, and I can't remember where I put my phone. Oh, my phone's right here in front of me, Doe, to silence it. Did I say anything about my learning curve earlier? My phone is normally at my right, but now I've got my phone sitting in front of me and I'm looking all over for it. I have turned into my mother. It's a little embarrassing. There's more about Mosley. Let's see. He was detained in 1940 under Defense Regulations 18B because the British government considered him a security risk with sympathies toward enemy powers, not because he was a credible political opponent. For Carlson to portray Mosley, an outspoken Hitler-admiring fascist, as a war hero, which Tucker exaggerates, and to claim he was persecuted purely for political reasons is deeply disturbing. The question has to be asked, does Tucker Carlson despise Churchill so much that he's willing to defend a Nazi-aligned fascist like Mosley? Or does he genuinely believe a Nazi-aligned fascist like Mosley was a patriot? Keep in mind also, I'm going back to the earlier quotation from Nathan Livingston, that Mosley started as a conservative, as Tucker has, and then shifted to being a fascist. And that's an important distinction. American conservatism is not European right-wing conservatism. American conservatism is something very different. Europe has always had an authoritarian history. And I like to think of politics not so much as left and right, because those came out of the French Revolution. In the French Revolution, to the speaker's left on the parliament were the revolutionaries, and on the right were the monarchists. That was before the whole thing fell apart, and that's where we in America get left and right. But really, politics isn't like that. And I'm going to ignore for now the horseshoe theory, because that also contemplates left and right. What politics really is that it goes from anarchy to complete totalitarianism. Anarchy is no government whatsoever, and that almost invariably ends in totalitarianism because humans cannot survive anarchy. So what inevitably happens is a strongman takes over. Haiti might be an exception, but the strongmen are still arguing and possibly eating each other. And then they're coming here and bringing their values with them, some of them. But what you really have is a true continuum is from individual liberty to totalitarian control. America has always, traditionally, the Constitution is about individual liberty. It's about small government. It's about having people having more freedom and less government. And of course, the left, with a passive or often compliant Republican Party, keeps growing government. And the bigger government gets, of course, the less freedom we have. But our Constitution is about small government. That is the definition of liberty. If you have a small government, it just can't do much damage and take that much control. And what's really funny is that I see on a Facebook site I follow that's a radical leftist Facebook site that they're all unbelievably upset about the amount of power Trump is exercising while he's in the White House. Now, some of that is the power, plenary power, that he has under the Constitution, which creates areas of power for the president, including running foreign policy. But a lot of it is because the left created this huge administrative state, assuming that it would forever be under their control. And now it's not, and they're furiously angry and talking tyranny, but they were the ones who handed the administrative state keys to the kingdom to Donald Trump. Europe has never had that kind of liberty. Europe went from monarchy to socialism, basically. In England, they had more liberty, which we took and made better, frankly, because the British have totally screwed it up. And I'll get to that in a minute, too. But the rest of Europe has just been from, they had a sort of brief flirtation with a form of democracy, but they really went from monarchical or aristocratic totalitarianism to socialist totalitarianism. So when Mosley went from conservatism, British conservatism, to fascism, what he went from was a slightly more American value to a decidedly European value with a Hitler twist. In America, conservatives are not statists. They are not just the I'm in power form of statism and I don't want things to change. They are liberty-based. And so Tucker has made a journey from a liberty-based worldview, assuming he ever believed in it, to an increasingly fascist European point of view, and that's a very bad thing. But wait, when it comes to Tucker, there's more. And let me get to my next slide here. And all these screens, my learning curve, it's really horrible. So, my last slide in the Tucker series is that I was thinking of William F. Buckley. Actually, I wasn't. My friend was. And what he said was, the Republican Party needs to stop with this big tent garbage and follow Buckley. And what Buckley, I'm quoting here from Wikipedia, Buckley and his editors used National Review to define the boundaries of conservatism and to exclude people, ideas, or groups they considered unworthy of the conservative title. For example, Buckley denounced Ayn Rand, who was a little too cold and cruel, the John Birch Society, which called Eisenhower a communist, George Wallace, who was an ardent racist, other racists, white supremacists, and anti-Semites. So he created, to his great credit, a truly American concept of conservatism built around the Constitution, individual liberty, the rule of law, moderate biblical values. We're not burning witches, but the nuclear family. What I think most of you listening to me believe in. Strong national security, because if you don't have a border, you don't have a country. But it wasn't about racism. It wasn't about the paranoid school of politics. It wasn't about retreating from the war into the world in dangerous isolationism. It wasn't about name calling. And it probably he and these others saved the Conservative Party, saved republicanism from becoming a crackpot marginal ideology. it's time we do the same with the crackpots on the margin. And for that reason, I say goodbye, Tucker Carlson, goodbye, Candace Owens, and goodbye, everybody who's in your train. Joe Kent, all these people. Done with you. It's time to call you out. You're not constitutional, liberty-loving patriots, no matter how you dress it up. You're not. One more topic, because I said I would discuss the UK, and you may not recognize the man in this photo. I've had his image on my desk for several days now. I became aware of him. His name is Harman Singh Kapoor, and the woman is his wife. He is, as you can tell from the turban, a Sikh. He's not a Muslim. I remember during the first Gulf War already, and after 9/11, a lot of people confused turbans with the Arabian Nights and thought turban wearers were Muslims. They're almost invariably Sikhs. And he is a reminder that India used to have a very warlike attitude. My mother remembers a Gurkha when she was interned in the Japanese concentration camp. At the end of the war, the Gurkhas helped liberate the camp. This was in Indonesia. And the Indonesian population, seeing a chance for end colonialism, I have to say, my mother's memories were always a little funky because she was in Java, which was not British. And I always assumed that the British did liberate Indonesia, and I don't actually know if it's true. But what she told me was that after the British liberated them, and it may well have been the British who did, because the Dutch Navy, I think, was pretty much kaput, the Indonesian population rose up to shake off colonialism. And what they did was they attacked the people in the camps, these skeletal, sick people. My mom had beriberi and 2 different forms of malaria and tuberculosis. I mean, they were just skeletons. She was 5'4", and when she left the camps, I think she weighed 65 pounds. They started going into the camps and slaughtering people. And what my mom said is that the British stationed the Gurkhas around the camps, and she said the Gurkhas would lie in these gullies around the camps, literally armed to the teeth with knives. And after a few knives, when the revolutionary Indonesians discovered their comrades literally chopped up into little pieces and neatly stacked in front of the camps, they stopped attacking. Is that a true story? I don't know, but it's a great story. And the Gurkhas certainly were fierce fighters. Sikhs and Gurkhas are not the same, but Harman Singh Kapoor has the same attitude. I think you get a feeling for him from what he tweeted out at the end of last year. He had dreams for the end of last year. My hopes for Britain in 2026, he wrote, re-election in the UK, by which I think he meant that the Starmer government would fall, stop the boats, as in no more illegal immigration, homeless veterans get support, cousin marriage ban in the UK, which the UK was seriously considering, Palestinian supporters in the UK shift to Gaza, as in get these people out of here and put them under Israel's guns. Keir Starmer officially marries Lord Ali. That's some British in-joke I don't get. Sadiq Khan gets arrested. No more hate. Lock up all grooming gangs. Integrate or F off. Police force regains its spine. This one will have some meaning in a minute. The law should be same for everyone. Last but not least, Britain becomes Great Britain again. Everyone in Britain should embrace these values. They're extremely pro-British, but they don't. What he's also done, he has a restaurant in the West End of London, and he is a proudly non-halal restaurant. He will not serve halal meat. He's also made statements on Twitter to this effect, and I haven't done the videos because his accent is kind of hard to understand. And he writes, "I will not kneel, my restaurant, my rules, and the rule is only non-halal." And his restaurant has been repeatedly attacked. I got another slide. This is a video, not showing it. It's very jumbled. And he doesn't like Muslims. He does call them inbreds. And he says, 100 of inbreds gathered outside my restaurant and blocked the door entrance. Reason, I don't sell halal. Yes, this is London, the Great Britain. On another occasion, he said, inbreds attacking me again because I refused to sell halal, and I got a screen grab of one of the videos he posted, and you can see a man kicking at him, the man was literally physically attacking him. He gets death threats. His restaurant, he comes in the morning, it's been attacked, it's got graffiti all over it, eggs thrown at it, all because he is very pro-British and will not serve halal meat. So what happened to him? This is what happened to him.
Everybody knows that I am under severe attack every day by some peaceful community. Police help is so far inadequate, and me, my family are threatened every day, physically, mentally. This left me no other choice to pick up the arms now. I am going to defend my family myself. I don't have trust in Met Police. If anybody wants to encounter me, please be ready to die. I am not afraid to kill you anymore. Don't come near my family.
If you're like me, you had a problem understanding what he said. The Hindustan Times explains that he was arrested for that video. He was arrested a little after March 14th, and you may recall that he said he wanted the police force regains its spine. Well, its spine was because they contended that the video was illegally threatening. Did he say, I'm going to kill so-and-so? No. Did he say, I encourage everybody who supports my restaurant to go on a killing spree? No. Did he say, kill all the Jews? No. Did he say, kill a politician? No. What he said, and I've got the Hindustan Times in front of me because it was kind of hard to listen to him. He said, everybody knows that I am under severe attack every day by some peaceful community. Police help is so far inadequate, and me and my family are threatened every day, physically, mentally. This left me no other choice but to pick up the arms. Now I am going to defend myself and my family myself. For unclear reasons, the rest of the video I recorded stopped abruptly here, and I figured that out when I went to finalize the video. So I'll wrap up here by saying what I'd intended to say, which is that England has fallen so far. It's tragic and disgusting. It's also worrisome because it says that no nation, no matter how liberty-oriented it might once have been, and again, Britain more than any other European nation was liberty-oriented, can still lapse into Marxism and totalitarianism. We must guard against it. On that note, thank you as always for listening. I'm very grateful for that fact.